Marvel is one of the biggest entertainment franchises in the world, and with Disney owning Marvel, you'd think that Walt Disney World would be packed full of Marvel attractions. But here's the question, why isn't it? Why doesn't Disney World have a massive Avengers campus like Disneyland California, and why is it that Disney World only has Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot? Which I'm not complaining, it's an amazing ride, but that's the only Marvel piece that we have there. And today we're going to be answering this question with the real reasons why Walt Disney World doesn't have more Marvel attractions. From old theme park contracts to legal restrictions to Disney's strategy and future possibilities, this is the full story of why Marvel is not featured in Disney World. So let's start with the biggest factor in this video, and that's the contracts. Back in the 1990s, before Disney even bought Marvel, Marvel Entertainment was struggling financially. To stay relevant, they licensed their characters out to different companies. That included theme park rights. So in 1994, Marvel signed a deal with Universal Studios. The agreement gave Universal exclusive rights to use certain Marvel characters in theme parks east of the Mississippi River. That includes Walt Disney World, since Florida is east of the Mississippi. That's why Universal Orlando built Marvel Superhero Island at Islands of Adventure, with rides like the Incredible Hulk Coaster, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, Doctor Doom's Fearfall, and Storm Force Accelatron. And here's the kicker, the contract was written in such a way that as long as Universal keeps those rides open and maintains the land, they can keep the rides indefinitely. Disney, therefore, cannot build attractions featuring those specific characters in Walt Disney World. So when Disney bought Marvel back in 2009, they inherited a theme park mess. They own the characters, but in Florida they can't use them however they want. So which of these characters are off limits? The contract names many different characters and it's very restrictive. For instance, all of the Avengers, so Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, etc. And then there's Spider-Man and his related characters or his villains like Green Goblin or Venom. Also the X-Men and other mutants like Cyclops, Wolverine, Magneto, and even the Fantastic Four. All of these characters I just listed are off limits. And these are not just random Marvel characters. Basically, the biggest and most popular Marvel characters are all under Universal's control in Florida. So now you're starting to see why Guardians of the Galaxy is at Epcot. I mean, they barely have any characters to choose from to use at their park, because you want to have your big characters like Iron Man or Spider-Man at Disney World, but at the moment this just isn't an option. So luckily the Guardians weren't really popular characters back in the 90s, and that's why they weren't included in this Universal deal. And somehow Disney World still pulled this off. Like I said, they had very few options to choose from with their characters, and they chose Guardians of the Galaxy, and what did they do? They made the best Marvel ride in the world. And this is why Disney World is also the best theme park in the world, but that's a topic for another video. So you might be wondering, well, what about Disneyland in California? They have Avengers Campus with Spider-Man, Iron Man, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, and way more. That's because the Universal contract only applies east of the Mississippi River. Disneyland is in California, west of the Mississippi, which means they're free to use the Avengers, Spider-Man, and all the other big characters I mentioned before. That's also why Avengers Campus could exist in California, Paris, and Hong Kong, just not in Orlando. So what does this mean for the future of Marvel at Disney World? Well, right now, Disney's very limited. They'll continue leaning on loophole characters like the Guardians. But here's the even bigger question. Could Disney ever get full rights back for Florida? It's possible, but not easy. Universal would have to agree to give up Marvel Superhero Island. I mean, considering how popular Spider-Man and Hulk still are at the Islands of Adventure, Universal has little reason to give those up. However, some fans speculate that if Universal ever rethemes the land, Disney could negotiate to buy back those rights. Until then, it's a stalemate. So for now, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind may be the only true Marvel ride that we see at Disney World for quite a while. Alright, so now let's have some fun. We've talked about why Disney World can't use Marvel characters, right? But what if they could? What if Universal did give up Marvel Superhero Island? Or if the contract was somehow rewritten and Disney had full access to the Avengers, Spider-Man, and the X-Men. So let's imagine what a full Marvel land at Disney World might look like. So first, where would it go? There's two clear options. Hollywood Studios, since it's already home to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Adding a Marvel land here would turn the park into a hub for blockbuster franchise, which is what it's already kind of doing right now. Or at Epcot, where Guardians of the Galaxy already live. A Marvel expansion could transform part of Future World into a Stark Expo-style pavilion. Either park would work, but Hollywood Studios feels like more of a natural fit. And maybe for some headliner attractions. So if Disney had full rights, the land would likely include these major attractions. An Avengers Quinjet ride. This was once announced for Avengers Campus in California, but it was never built. Imagine a flight simulator meets dark ride, where guests team up with the Avengers in a massive battle. Think Rise of the Resistance, but with Iron Man, Thor, and Spider-Man fighting alongside you. And then maybe an X-Men training academy, so guests could join Professor Xavier's school in a unique interactive experience. Using AR tech and motion sensors, you could train just like a mutant, learning to use your powers before a final showdown with maybe Magneto or another big villain. Like, can you just imagine if there was a full-scale version of the X-Men mansion and like maybe the Q is inside of it? That would just be insane. And for some like smaller attractions, maybe you have a Doctor Strange Mystic Art show with like illusions, portals, and live actors. Maybe a Black Panther Wakanda exhibit, so you could combine cultural displays with a high-tech vibranium demonstration. And actually, I have one more big attraction that could possibly be here, and that's a Spider-Man hang coaster. They can make this ride feel like you're literally swinging through the streets of New York as Spider-Man. I feel like the Spider-Man adventure is really cool at Universal, and then Web Slingers it's decent at Disneyland. I just feel like they could do so much more with Spider-Man rides. Like, Marvel needs another coaster. All of these would be so cool if Disney World just had the rights to these characters. But in this imaginary scenario, the land itself could be designed like the Marvel City Hub. A part Avengers Tower, part Wakanda Tech Outpost, and part X-Men Mansion off in the distance. Imagine the skyline, a Quinjet parked on a rooftop, holographic billboards, and character meet and greets just happening all day in the streets. Food stands could serve shawarma, of course, Wakandan street food, and Tony Stark branded snacks. Merchandise shops could look like Avengers supply depots with custom superhero gear for kids. But what would make it truly Disney is the immersive storytelling. Just like Galaxy's Edge lets you live in Star Wars, a Marvel Land would let you live as a superhero in training. Characters could maybe recruit you for missions, villains could show up randomly, and your actions in one attraction could impact what you see in another. And with Avengers Campus at Disneyland, I'm going to talk about this really quick. There's a reason why they're expanding on this, because honestly, it hasn't done that well for them. Their big attraction, which is Mission Breakout, isn't really in the Avengers Campus. It more so feels like it's right outside of it, because it technically is. And don't get me wrong, I still love Avengers Campus. It looks awesome, especially at night. I love the Pym restaurant. I just think it's a bit overrated as an IP land. It just feels like it's so crammed and there's just not enough to do there. But hopefully in 2 or 3 years, they completely prove me wrong with all these new updates they're talking about doing, like with the Thanos or the King Thanos Dark Ride, because I really want to see Avengers Campus succeed. So overall, if Disney ever did get the rights, Marvel Land at Walt Disney World could rival Galaxy's Edge in scale and ambition. And honestly, fans would just go crazy for it, because I know I would, because Marvel's just such a huge part of Disney now, and the fact that it's absent at its biggest park of Walt Disney World is just pretty sad. So that's the full story. Disney World doesn't have more Marvel because of contracts that date all the way back to the 1990s, but through loopholes we've gotten Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, and maybe more obscure heroes in the future. And hey, imagining what could happen if Disney did have the rights just shows us just how much potential there really is. Maybe someday we'll walk through an Avengers campus in Orlando. So what do you guys think? Should Disney fight to bring more Marvel to Florida? And if they could build anything, what would you want to see most? Drop your ideas in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching.